Hola, culés! We're back on the second channel today, and we're talking about how we're kind of, I don't know, at war. I don't know if that's the word I'm going to use. The situation, at the very least, between Athletic Club de Bilbao and FC Barcelona is in a weird spot right now. So basically, to catch all of you guys up here, let me bring up the tweeters. Basically, Athletic Bilbao is upset about the Nico Williams signing. I think they're upset for a few other reasons, but they are trying their absolute hardest to make it very difficult for Barcelona to go through. They have apparently talked with La Liga today and voiced their complaints about Barcelona being able to sign him, being able to bring Nico Williams into Barcelona. Also, apparently, just want to touch on this. Mallorca is probably going to sign Pablo Torre in the next few days, meaning, first of all, Barcelona will get a couple million in the bank. Obviously, great. Can't hurt. I think it's good for Pablo because, especially with Nico coming, there will be less depth in the middle due to Rafinha likely playing there a little bit. Pablo Torre needs to go, get some game time. Hopefully, a buyback option is included. That being said, this is getting a little weird, right? Because Athletic Bilbao have a very big reason to try and keep all their players. As you all know, they can only sign Basque players. That has been their legacy for a long time. And so I think that's part of the reason they're making it very difficult for Barcelona here, or they're trying to. Yesterday, Joan Laporta, who's the Barcelona president, said to somebody, I don't understand why Athletic Bilbao wants to speak about Barcelona with La Liga. I don't think it's appropriate, but that's their problem. And then I think today, Bilbao confirms that they've spoken to the Spanish Association, so the RFEF, about Barcelona's ability to sign players and be in the one-to-one. Basically, they're trying to go to La Liga, bring up as many issues as possible to stop Barcelona from even being able to spend any money. But that's not really what would happen here, right? Barcelona, these clubs are just able to find money somehow. Whenever Barcelona's in a tough spot, they pull a lever. Gronk, they do something that somehow gets stuff over the line. Manchester United has done it. Liverpool's pulling $1 billion out of their butt this summer, and they just figure it out, right? They're big financial organizations that have a lot of backing. They just make money somehow. And so, yes, all these things are coming out about it, but the getting the player over the line is not going to be the issue for Barcelona. Nico Williams is going to be a Barcelona player, and the only problem here would be the signing. But that being said, I think to kind of understand where this all comes from, we probably have to recognize what Deco did a few weeks ago, where they're just making it very clear, talking about everything before anything is official, saying that Barcelona is going to sign Nico Williams. I know they're trying to put confidence, they're trying to give fans confidence, they're trying to make the summer exciting, they're trying to show that they're doing things, and which is something I saw a lot of fans complaining about earlier in the summer when Madrid were signing players, when Liverpool were pushing for players, and we heard nothing for Barcelona for like 2 weeks. You guys were just being dramatic. But Deco kind of might have stepped over a line there, trying to say like he was our player before anything was official, before any conversations have really been had. Now, Nico was the player to send his agents to Barcelona to have the conversation with Deco, to push for everything to go over the line. So I don't think it's fair necessarily to throw everything on Deco or throw everything on Barcelona in this case, especially when I would have thought that Nico was on very good terms with the Basque club and had a good understanding of when you wanted to leave and where you wanted to be. I think that's part of the reason he signed this contract. I believe it was last summer with Bilbao or last winter. Athletic Club, they said that he wants to make sure they get money for his signing. They can be able to fund other players' salaries or the signing of a few players, because again, they are restricted to the people that they can sign. So it's a little bit difficult for them. So he wants to make sure that his boyhood club, the club that helped bring his brother to stardom a little bit, has something to show for it. And I understand that. So they signed this contract. They gave him a relatively mediocre, I would say, release clause, considering his potential, considering his age, and considering how much players are going for in England. They seem to have forgotten all of that. At least maybe my perception of it was wrong, and that's entirely possible. But they're I don't know, kind of disrespecting Nico here a little bit too, saying that this is unacceptable and trying to make it difficult for the player who very clearly wants to leave, wants to take a step away, whose family, brother has already given so much to Bilbao and has never left. They are trying to make it difficult for Nico, and I feel like that's probably ruining that relationship. And I know by Nico sending his agents to Barcelona has kind of ruined his reputation in the Basque region a little bit. I've seen some murals getting painted over, things being said online, calling him a traitor, kind of similar to the Joan Garcia stuff, which is interesting because I don't know what Barcelona ever did to Athletic Club. I thought we had a pretty decent relationship. I know the Basque people and the Catalan people have a similar respect for one another, as they were both pushed down by the fascist regime, by the fascist government that ran Spain for, relatively recently in world history. And I thought they had a little bit more recognition for that. I understand Barcelona being the top dog now, or one of the big guys in Spain, taking one of the best players from a big team. That's not always something that's easy, but he has a release clause for a reason. They're not supposed to be able to make a step. And when Nico has very clearly made this choice to step in now, just feels disrespectful to Nico. And I'm not saying Nico maybe disrespected Athletic Club, but I think it just feels weird. It feels unprofessional, and it feels like something maybe Barcelona would do for one of their players. I don't know. Or Real Madrid complain to the RFEF about Barcelona's financial situation. It just doesn't taste good, and I'm not happy about it. It feels like it's going to make it difficult for Barcelona and Athletic Club to have a good relationship going forward. The San Mamés is probably going to be a wild place to play football. They're going to boo everyone, especially Nico, which is, I don't know. I feel like that's, I don't know. I understand that them not being able to sign other players, but players leave other teams. You know what I mean? Not every player, especially one from the same family, is going to do the exact same thing that his brother did and stay there for his entire career. Yes, going to a direct competitor is one thing, but I don't know. Again, it just feels weird. Rashad Rahman here says that it shouldn't affect anything. He fully expects everything to still go through. Nothing check pinned, clause to be paid after June 30th because they want this financial move to affect the next year's accounting term. So to do that, they want to sign him in July instead of June, like they did with Garcia, since Garcia was a lot cheaper. It's apparently everything is saying that next week should be Nico week. This should go through. Barcelona should have a new attacking player that should be exciting, should be best friends with Balde, Lamine Yamal, Hector Ford, all those boys that hang out together. We got another addition to that squad, and that's great. It just feels weird, and I'm just very surprised that it came from this team, and I don't think it should concern a lot of you guys too much. I wanted to kind of come on here and calm our worries. I've seen a lot of is this Nico Williams signing an issue? Is it not going to happen? Is it problematic now? I don't expect this to be a problem at all. Maybe not in September, but later in whatever the season, like it did this year with Tebas brought some stuff up after once it turned to 2025, something changed accounting wise, and then he made an issue, but then the court of sport in Spain basically said, bruh, these guys, let them be paid to play. That's what's happening. These players have the right to work and to pay and to play. And so they were let to play. And this all goes back to the very strict financial rules that La Liga have in place. I think it's the strictest in world football. It's definitely stricter than the Premier League. And it just makes it very difficult for teams to operate against other teams that are spending all this money, that are making all these big splashes, which makes the Nico Williams signing all the more impressive to me, because I think 60 million is a bargain for one of these players, especially when I'm seeing Brian Mbemo being valued at 70 million euros, I think 60 million pounds. What? I'm not saying he's a bad player. That's not what I'm saying. Is he worth that much money in the Premier League to another Premier League team? It's just different. It's kind of insane and ludicrous. And I guess instead of going to complain to the Federation of Sport, the FA in England, they just mark up their players €1 billion instead of just making it incredibly difficult for Barcelona in Spain. I do think it's going to go through. I think it'll ruin the relationship between the clubs, which is a shame because there's a lot of talented players at Athletic Bilbao Athletic Club that I'd love to play for Barcelona. Obviously, that's probably not going to happen unless if there's a release clause on Sunset, man. I know we have 8 number 10s, but add another one. He's fantastic. I think it's poor. I think it's unimpressive. And I'm not saying Barcelona has been the most professional team here either. I wanted to recognize that Deco talking before anything was official, talking like Nico was a Barcelona player before he left Athletic Club, before anything happened. It's not a great thing to see. It's a little unprofessional as well, and that probably stirred them in the offices in Bilbao and led to all of this. Probably, I'm not saying if that didn't happen, nothing would have gone past, but I don't know. It's just not cool. We'll get into some real quick news here too, because I think there's some cool stuff that I haven't talked about. Apparently, Juve is still keeping an eye on Ron Araujo. I think I'm really over-exaggerating the tilde on the U there, but whatever, that's okay. I think it's fun to say Araujo. And I think that's something to keep your eye on. Where is it? It's right here. Juventus probably has 65 million to spend, or 60 million, I think it goes down to, starting in July. And I don't know if I know Deco thinks we have too many center backs. We have 4, but considering Inigo is 34, I think, or turning 34. Kubarsi's still a teenager, and Christensen's always out. I think keeping Ron, even though he's also always out, isn't a bad idea. I think a lot of people will disagree with that, but that's okay. We've seen some talk about Julian Alvarez, a lot of Nico stuff recently. But, yeah, I think it's just a quiet week getting this Nico Williams signing over the line. We saw Ronnie Barchi. I talked a little bit about that. Bargi signing, I think we got a here we go from Fabrizio, so it should be good to go. And Marcus Rashford is still in talk somewhere, right? We see this from Rashad Rahman here. He did a little gif in a response to Perisic, who was also rumored to sign for Barcelona. Having that not go through, it makes this Marcus Rashford signing make a little bit more sense to Rashad. I don't know. I think with Nico coming in, we don't necessarily need Marcus, especially maybe unless you get rid of Ferran Torres or something, but I don't really know if Rashford's a better player than Torres right now. Especially since it'll take Rashford a minute to get used to how the team plays and everything, to Hansi's setup. Yeah, I don't know if it makes a ton of sense to me. I don't think it's a terrible move, but if he's on 10 million a year, if we have to loan him for that much, that's ridiculous. And I feel like maybe that money could be spent at the right back spot. I think they are looking at right backs. Haven't heard a ton about who they're looking at specifically recently, but I think it's been a fantastic summer. Nonetheless, even though there's been a lot of drama, this is Football Club Barcelona. Of course there's drama, but that's all. I wanted to kind of calm you guys about the Nico Williams situation. I think it'll be okay. It's still weird though, and you hate to see that, right? We don't need that. But again, thank you guys for watching. Have a happy Thursday, Friday, weekend, and I'll probably be up on the second channel with another one of these videos in a couple days, and just talking about the situation that we are in right now. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.